It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. Excited to be here this morning sharing my expert news and reviews of the housing market with you guys. I have a lot of information to cover over the course of the next hour. So if this is your first time tuning into this program, this is a show designed to help you become better educated about the process of buying and selling real estate so that when it comes time for you to buy or sell or invest in a home, you know the right questions to ask. You understand the process, and you're positioned to either buy a home at a great price or sell a home at a great price in a short amount of time. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about this morning is buzz marketing, pre-marketing. What are some of the things that you can do as a seller along with a really experienced real estate agent to help you sell your home quickly and for the most amount of money? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, what happens if you've had your home on the market, let's say, a few months, 4, 5, 6 months. There have been some listings that I've seen over the course of the past few weeks that have been on the market for years. What happens if the home is not selling? What can you do? Is it a price problem? Is it a marketing problem? Is it a condition problem? We're going to talk about that and how you as a seller can reposition yourself to sell your property. Of course, we're going to talk about the market and a few other things here on the program this morning. But if this is your first time tuning into the program, thank you so much for joining and welcome. If you'd like to reach out to me, my team and I have been selling real estate here in the Charleston area for 12 years. We've done about 1,000 transactions over that course of time. So if you're thinking about selling or buying a house, we'd love the opportunity to earn your business. Of course, I can be reached at 843-345-1273. That's my cell, 843-345-1273. Or you can visit my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. A lot of really good information on there. Feel free to learn more about myself and my team and who we are, what we do, what we sell. Search the MLS. We've got a lot of information on that website as well. And of course, you can listen to any show that I've recorded on WTMA, either on my website or by going to iTunes and downloading my podcast, The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. So let's kind of jump into it. I'm excited about this first segment because we were talking to a few sellers over the past few weeks that had noticed we had sold properties very quickly in their neighborhood, and now we're working with them, which is always great. Means we're doing a good job for our clients. But have you ever noticed how some homes sell almost immediately, and others tend to just kind of languish on the market? Why is that? Maybe you or someone has had one of those success stories where they've sold very quickly, or maybe you or someone listed their home for sale and it took a lot more time than they thought it was going to take. Or maybe you're on the market right now and it's just taking longer than anticipated. You're not getting the results that you thought. I'm sure plenty of people listening that have tried selling their home at some point in time and it just didn't work out with their first agent. Almost half of the listings that we put on the market as a industry in Charleston do not sell with their first agent. We have a lot of expired listings in our market. So a seller hires a real estate agent. They agree to work with them for usually around 6 months or so, sometimes less, sometimes more. And then the property doesn't sell. The property comes off the market, and then, of course, they're bombarded by real estate agents saying, hey, I can sell your house. Hey, I can do a better job. Hey, hire me. Here's why. Here's the price we can get, so on and so forth. And so I want to have a discussion about that first. What is the difference between the home that sold quickly versus the home that didn't? Well, I'm going to tell you. And, before I kind of jump into that, I was looking at some stats earlier in the week, and my team actually hit a pretty major milestone this month, which I'm very proud of. Our team has now sold over 100 homes in less than a week. In fact, in the past 2 years or so, we've sold about 250 listings in which we represented the seller, and 30% of those listings sold in a week or less. And just to kind of compare that to something, the industry average for days on market in Charleston is 62 days. Ours are selling in 24, which is 2.5 times faster than the industry average for Charleston. And naturally, you might be thinking, well, Yeah, it's easy to sell a house quickly if you underprice it. Well, our listings are selling for 98% of their asking price, which is about 1.5% better than the industry average for Charleston. So we're outperforming the competition on almost all fronts. And I'm telling you this because we have developed a very strategic marketing plan to help our clients sell their home faster and for more money. And a lot of that work is done before we ever list the home for sale in the MLS. Our pre-marketing strategy, it's on fire right now. It's working very, very well, but it takes work. And now I'm not going to tell you what I do to create these results on air. I mean, there are too many realtors that listen to the show, and this show is for you, the consumer. It's not for them, although for all the real estate agents that are listening, I do sincerely appreciate your following and your support and the compliments I get from y'all. So thank you for that. But instead of telling you what my team does for buzz marketing, let's focus on you, the seller. What can you do to increase your chances of selling your home for top dollar in a short amount of time? And first, let me just say that my team and I can't take all the credit for the 100 plus homes that we've sold in a week or less over the past several years. I would be foolish. It would be foolish of me, or any other real estate agent for that matter, if I neglected to mention that there is an element of luck involved with selling a home so quickly. And yes, we do massive amounts of marketing and proactive outreach to find buyers for our listings, but it works because we're able to effectively position your home in front of people that are ready, willing, and able to buy a house. If a buyer just doesn't exist for your home while we're doing our pre-marketing, that just means we've laid the foundation for a productive sale because they will find your house when they make the decision to move and start looking. The marketing takes care of that. But what are some of the things that you as a seller can do to effectively position your home to sell quickly and for top dollar, even before it hits the MLS? So here are a few things. I think the first one is obviously to hire the right agent. So many times sellers will hire really the first agent they come into contact with. They speak intelligently about the market. It seems like they got their ducks in a row and they just agree to work together. They don't formally interview that agent. They're kind of going off the agent's skill, their salesmanship, to say, yes, this agent seems like they know what they're doing. Let's hire them to sell my house. And the challenge is when you don't have that, when you don't compare that to anything, you're not really getting the full picture of what can be done to help you sell your home. And don't get me wrong, we're in a seller's market. It's easier to sell homes now, of course, than it is in a buyer's market. So agents are able to get away with less marketing because demand is higher. But that doesn't solve the problem or reach the opportunity of selling your home for the most amount of money possible in the shortest amount of time. So really the first step here is to hire the right agent. Ask them the questions that you would ask of any other professional when they are handling an asset as important as your home, which more likely than not, for the majority of people, has the most equity. It's the thing they own that is worth the most amount of money. Why not take the time, an extra day even, to interview an agent, ask the right questions, and if you don't get everything that you're looking for, go seek out the opinion of somebody else. In fact, what you really should be doing is interviewing multiple agents. So again, you have something to compare them to. And I don't mind it when sellers interview me along with, one or two other or however many agents they want to interview, because I'm comfortable in my value and the ability and the experience that we provide and the chance that we give our sellers of selling the home for the most amount of money in the least amount of time. So the first step is to hire the right agent. And if you're looking for a list of interview questions, I have that for you. If you go to my website, listingsincharleston.com, and go to the contact tab, all you have to do is type in interview questions in the little contact tab, and I will send that to you, regardless of whether you want to interview me or not. Maybe you know somebody that's selling a home in a different area. Those are useful questions for them to be asking of the agent that will be spending a lot of time with you to help you sell what's likely your most valuable asset. The second step really is to set the right price. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in this program when we talk about, if my home hasn't sold, why is that? Is it a price issue? Is it a marketing issue? Is it a condition issue? Is my agent just not working? Are they just waiting for other agents to do their job for them? So setting the right price is extremely important. Even in a seller's market where there's high demand, buyers are educated. And you know why they're so educated? Because there are less options. So when they're online and they're looking at homes available for sale, there's not as much to look at. That means that they're spending more time on each listing. And as a result, they're becoming better educated on the market. They know value. They know what's selling, and they can tell the difference between a home that's going to sell in a few days and a home that's probably going to take a few months, or that's certainly going to need a price correction in order to garner more interest among buyers. So setting the right price is extremely important. The third thing is a pre-listing inspection. Now, if you work with my team, we will pay for that pre-listing inspection. It's very simple. We'll have a home inspector come to your house, perform a home inspection. That will then tell us everything that a buyer will find once we're under contract, and we can proactively choose to make repairs and then use that as a marketing tool to tell buyers, hey, we've already had the inspection. We've already made these repairs. Here's the list of repairs. Here are the invoices. Here's the inspection report. You shouldn't have to worry about what you might find once the home inspection occurs because we've already done that. We've already addressed those issues. Now, maybe you don't have the money to fix those things. We just incorporate that into our pricing strategy. Again, we share the information because you have to disclose it. Now you know what's going on with your house. You can't, just decide to sweep that information underneath the rug. You have to disclose it. So let's use that as an opportunity to market your property more effectively and better establish value. And really the third thing that it does is if you are going to do those repairs, with the help of your real estate agent, find the contractors that are going to do that work at a good price. If you're waiting for the buyer to do the home inspection and their contractor is going to bid the work and you're going to pay for it, guess what? They're going to overcharge you. They're not going to do you any favors as it relates to price because the buyer might be adamant about their contractor doing the work. That doesn't always happen. You have the ability as a seller to say, look, I get that you want to use your own contractor, but if you want this stuff fixed, I'll get it fixed with a licensed professional, but I'm going to be in control of the cost, not you. So there is a way around that, but it just gives you the time to shop those repairs and assign an appropriate price to it rather than getting gouged by a buyer. Now, let's just say as an example, while we're on this topic, you're 14 days into a signed contract with a buyer. You're trying to create a closing in 30 days. That doesn't leave a lot of time for repairs to be made and to also have the appraisal and to also check in with the lender to make sure that financing is going to get approved and to also have your termite and moisture inspection and to also plan a move, which, by the way, could get derailed if you don't come to an agreement on all of those moving parts. So it becomes a little complicated. Buy yourself a little time and save yourself some money by doing a pre-listing inspection. And again, if you hire my team to help you sell your home, we will pay for one for you. No strings attached. Okay. And my number, if you want to reach out to me and talk to me about that, is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. And my website is listingsincharleston.com. Again, that's listingsincharleston.com. I do have a few more tips for you when we come back, but we're going to take a quick break right here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Stick around. We'll be right back.
More stimulating talk on real estate matters with Brian Beatty next on 1250 WTMA.
1250 WTMA.
Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty, and we're continuing our discussion about some of the things you can do as a seller to help prepare your home to sell, some proactive things that you can do to make sure that your home sells quickly and for the most amount of money possible. We were talking about the difference between listings that seem to sell almost immediately versus those listings that tend to sit on the market. Maybe they make some price reductions, maybe they do some things to the house, and it just sits around and it doesn't sell quickly, which usually means it sells for less money. So I already talked about hiring the right agent and how to do that, how to set the right price, and I also talked about a free pre-listing inspection if you hire my real estate team to help you with the goal of selling your home. And again, my number, if you want to talk to me about that, is 843-345-1273. That's 345-1273. That's my cell phone. That's not the number here to the studio. That's me personally. 345-1273. And my website, listingsincharleston.com. But let's keep going here. Let's talk about a few more things you can do. The fourth thing you can do is to have a staging consultation. And again, if you hire my team, we will bring in a professional stager/decorator to walk through your house room by room and look at everything. They do the outside too. And then you're going to walk away from that meeting with a punch list of things that can be done and then a list of things that should be done. And what they typically do, just so you know, is they use the things that are already inside your house. Typically involves decluttering. That's the majority of what we're doing when we're walking through a house with a seller. Is, you've become very comfortable in the way in which you live in your home. Let's kind of remove your emotional attachment to this property and let's now treat it as a product. How can we show your home in the best light, use all of the wonderful features of your home and magnify those to potential buyers? Maybe we need to paint your purple dining room, or maybe we need to rearrange some furniture. Maybe we should do some things to landscaping. All of those things are covered in that 2-hour staging consultation, which is, again, at my cost if you hire my real estate team. But there's so many things that sellers walk away from during those consultations that not even I think of. And I've been doing this for 12 years, and we've done 1,000 transactions in this market. That's why they're the professional at what they do, and I'm the professional at what I do. But a staging consultation really can work wonders for you and for your home when it comes time to sell it. Because again, we are attached to our homes. We live in it a certain way. You wouldn't necessarily be comfortable 24/7 living in a model home, right? Well, that's kind of what you have to do if you want to sell your home for top dollar in a short amount of time. The fifth thing that you can do as a seller, which is a little more outside of the box, hiring the right agent, setting the right price, those are obvious, I would think. The pre-listing inspection and the staging consultation are add-ons that my team can provide you with. And then the fifth thing is something you can do that's a little outside the box, but has worked really, really well for us. And that is that for you as a seller, we want you to announce that you're selling your home. And we want you to tell your family, your friends, your coworkers, if that's appropriate, your neighborhood, maybe any community groups that you're a member of. And the most efficient way of doing that is through Facebook. But if you're not a fan of Facebook, then email works just fine. And when you're doing this, you're only sharing facts about your house. I really want to be clear on this. You're only sharing facts about your house with maybe a few of the best pictures you have along with your agent's contact information. Do not tell anyone why you're selling, okay? And this is huge. This is really, really important for you as a seller. I covered this on a show a few weeks ago. If someone asks you why you're selling your house, your very simple response will be, we love the house and we're excited about making a change. And that is all you're going to say. Literally any other answer you give could be taken out of context. And more importantly, it could be used against you if that information gets into the hands of the buyer because they now know your motivation for selling, which is confidential for a reason. Let's say that, we need more space. Our family's growing and we just, we need more bedrooms. We need more square footage. Well, maybe, and there's a ton of examples of things like this, statements that you can say that have a negative impact potentially on the buyer. Well, maybe they're thinking, well, we might want to have another kid or two in the next few years, and maybe this isn't going to be enough space for us. So then your house is excluded from the potential properties they want to make an offer on. It can be used against you. So just the best thing to do is to very simply say, we love the house and we're excited about making a change. And that's it. And if they pry deeper, just say that, we're selling because we want to sell. And that's it. And if they keep prying, just tell them to, go hit the road, take a hike. But let's talk about the flip side of this. So we've done all these things to prepare your home to sell. And I was saying last segment that, our team hit a major milestone. We've now sold over 100 homes that have sold in a week or less. And about 30% of our listings that have sold over the past few years are selling in a week or less. Our median days on market is 24 days. That is low. That's 2.5 times faster than the market average here in Charleston. And so there's a method to that. And again, I'm not going to tell you what I do and what my team does to generate all the buzz that we do when it comes to pre-marketing and all of our proactive efforts to reach out to people to build a database of interested buyers and agents representing buyers to help you sell your home. But I'd love to have that conversation with you if you're interested. My number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273, or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Now, let's talk about the flip side of this. Your home isn't selling. You tried selling it last year and it didn't sell. You've tried selling a home at some point and it didn't work out. Regardless of whether you're in that situation or you're about to sell your home for the first time, there's some information here in the next probably 15 minutes or so that it's going to be really important for you to understand. Because if your home did not sell during the listing period, it's going to be referred to as an expired listing. And now you're kind of wondering what to do. The question you might be asking yourself is, where did I go wrong? Was it my choice of agent? Was it my price? Was it the marketing or lack thereof that caused it not to sell? Was it something about my house? Was it the neighborhood? Was it just a bad time of year? Was it a combination of all of these things? So what we need to do to know more about homes that have been on the market that didn't sell, whether they were previously listed with a realtor or not, or even if they were for sale by owner, is ask them some questions. We need to first understand what sort of response they received from the market. And we already have our preconceived notions as to why it didn't sell, but we want the actual data from the owner. And so one of the things we're, of course, going to ask is, how many showings did you have on average per month? And there's when you sell a home, especially here in Charleston, we have a third-party service. All real estate agents in the Charleston area do. It's called Showing Time. And Showing Time is a company that coordinates showings between buyer agents and sellers. So rather than an agent calling me, the listing agent, and saying, hey, Brian, I want to show one of your homes tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Is that okay? And then I have to go and call the seller, and then you say yes, and then I have to call you back. We've just outsourced that. We've outsourced it to a third-party company, and thank God, because I no longer have to have my phone surgically attached to my face. God forbid I miss a phone call, and it's an agent that wants to see one of my listings. And because I've missed it, because I'm in an appointment, I don't usually answer my phone when I'm in meetings with other clients. I think that's quite rude, actually. It prevents us from having showing opportunities fall through the cracks. But what it does for us is it allows us to monitor the number of showings on average in a particular area, in a particular price range. So we can then match up the number of showings you're getting or not getting compared to the average in your area and price range. How does that compare to market stats? Another thing that's incredibly important as it relates to showings is, were your showings pre-qualified? And what I mean by that is, was there any conversation between the listing agent and the buyer agent before the buyer agent showed the buyer your house? See, the great thing about outsourcing the showings, again, is that I no longer have to be liable for answering every single phone call that comes my way, because if I miss one, it could have been a showing. The problem that's been created is that because it is now outsourced, it is now automatic, agents don't need to have conversations with other agents before your home is shown. The problem is the listing agent has no idea whether the person that's walking into your house is ready, willing, and able to buy it. So just because we have this fantastic automated system that coordinates showings on your behalf and my behalf, if you're not having a conversation with the agent beforehand to learn more about what the buyer is looking for and what about your house was of interest to them, and are they in a position to buy if they walk through it and they like what they see, or have they been pre-approved for a mortgage, or are they paying cash? And you're not taking the time to explain some of the things about the house that make it unique, then you're missing opportunities, in my opinion. And that is one of the biggest things I see happening in our industry right now, is that agents they've lost touch. They are not communicating with one another. It's text, it's email, it's very rarely over the phone. And I would much rather pick up the phone and talk to somebody. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a big email guy, and I try as best I can to minimize the number of emails I get per day, because it's at like 200. And my assistant helps me with that because it's just overwhelming with everything else that I do, because my time wants to be spent with my clients and with my agents, training them to be the best agents in this market, rather than responding to a bunch of emails that I could just pick up the phone and have a quick conversation with them about, because I then get to extrapolate important data out of that conversation. And my job as a listing agent or a buyer agent is to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to help my client get either the best price possible for their house or get the best price possible for the home they're buying. And you'd be surprised at the amount of information an agent is willing to divulge about their client. One very important part of our agreement between our client is a little section called confidentiality. And you'd be surprised at how many people break that, not even knowing that they're doing it, because agents love to talk. They love to just chat. And so we take advantage of that. And I know that there are agents listening that are like, oh, crap, that's what they're doing. Well, yeah, all right, so our secret's up. But you know what? They're going to tell us anyways. So I'd rather have a conversation with an agent and then use that information to our advantage for you, our client. And that's why we pre-qualify showings. That's why it's so important. You know, how many times have you had to leave your house for a showing that was a true waste of time? We probably cancel 25% of our showings. That's probably a pretty realistic number. I don't know what the actual number is, but it's probably somewhere around 25% because they're not ready to buy your house. If someone's thinking of retiring here in a few years when they decide to hang up their hat at work and they just want to get a feel for what homes are like in this area, do you really want to clean your house and put your kids and the dog in the car and drive around for an hour, which is really more like 2.5 hours by the time you get the home ready, and then leave, and then come back and then have to go around and turn off all the lights they forgot to turn off? And, you know, it's just a mess. So we try our best to make sure that if someone's going to walk through your house, it better be for a good reason. It better be because they are interested in buying it, not to kick tires. So that's the first thing we ask. And then, of course, we switch over to feedback and a slew of other questions that we want to ask. Data that we need out of you, the seller, to determine what went wrong and what we can do and what we can fix to reposition your home to sell. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that when we come back. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. And of course, if you want to reach out to me personally, my cell phone number, if you're thinking about selling your home, is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273, or go to listingsincharleston.com. Stick around, Charleston. We'll be right back.
Have a real estate question? Ask Brian Beatty. Send him an email, lowcountryhomesales@gmail.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show is on 1250 WTMA.
1250 WTMA.
Expert news and views on the Low Country real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. We're talking about what happens if your home sits on the market for a much longer than anticipated period of time and it just hasn't sold yet. Or let's say that the property has expired from the MLS. The agreement that you signed with your listing agent has now come due. And you don't want to extend that agreement with the agent because they didn't get the job done. You don't feel like everything is clicking. It's just not working. So now you're thinking about making a change. And so when we sell listings, you know, I was saying earlier in the program that our team hit a really major milestone and that we've sold over 100 homes now that have sold in a week or less. And our average days on market or median days on market is 24 days compared to 62 here in the market. But the other really kind of interesting stat, and I'm trying not to brag, but I'm just trying to give you some background because I feel as though I'm an authority on this issue, is that over 60% of the listings we sell were previously listed by another real estate agent. So we go in, we rebrand the property, we reintroduce it to the market. Sometimes we make adjustments. Sometimes we just apply our marketing plan and that's all that was needed, and we sell it quickly and for the same price, sometimes more. But we have to first ask some questions of the seller. You know, why do you think it didn't sell, so on and so forth? So we were just talking about showings. Now we need to talk about feedback. What were the people saying when they walked through your house? What was the most consistent negative feedback you received that you struggled to overcome? Did you and your agent strategize on how to overcome those objections? And I'm not talking about things like, we didn't like the floor plan. I'm talking about actual overcomable objections. How was that received? Did you have those conversations? Or was it simply, hey, we're getting, 2 showings a week and we just got to keep getting people through the door and eventually we'll find somebody that wants to buy it? Which takes me to the, point I was making earlier before we took a break, which is that if you're not pre-qualifying the showings, if your listing agent isn't having a conversation with the buyer agent, you have no idea whether that buyer is ready, willing, or able to buy your house or not. They could be thinking about retiring in a few years and they just want to see what homes look like in Charleston. They could be vacationing here and say, it would be kind of fun to kill some time. Let's go look at some homes. That might sound ridiculous. It happens all the time. You know why? Because we're actually talking to agents and finding out why they want to view our listing and what they were so excited about when they saw it, wherever they saw it. And if it turns out that it's just a waste of time showing, then we're going to cancel that showing. And it's a case-by-case basis. But now let's say that those showings have occurred. What was the feedback? One of the biggest, things that sellers say, one of the most common things that sellers say when I ask them, what was the feedback? What was the most challenging feedback you had, received that you just couldn't overcome or your agent wasn't good enough at overcoming? And the majority of the time they say, well, that's the problem. We don't know. Agents weren't giving us feedback. The listing agent wasn't telling us what those buyers or what those agents were thinking, so we're kind of flying blind. We don't know what the market thinks about our house. We just know that we had 20 showings and no offers. So the question really is, did your agent put on their sales hat and push the other agent to make an offer based on what the buyer felt the home was worth to them? That's our job, is to facilitate a transaction, to inspire a buyer to make an offer and then use our skill to negotiate the best deal possible. And of course, that's all enhanced through marketing and experience and the way in which we talk about the property. But then you also have to ask yourself the question of, why do you personally think it didn't sell? What does your agent think? Why do they think it didn't sell? Over 90% of the time, the sellers are just, I don't know. Which is an issue of communication and customer service, right? I would follow that up with the question of, what do you feel you need to do differently this time around to have a successful transaction? And one of the things my team offers is a communication guarantee. We will be in touch with you at least once per week from the time you list until the time you sell. And if we don't, you can fire us. It's in writing in our listing agreement. We mean it when we say it because we want to offer fantastic customer service. We want to not just do a great job for you, but we want a referral. That's what really good businesses are all about, right? They do a good job. You're happy with our service. We got the job done for you, and you refer us to a friend or a family or coworker. That's how business works. But in order for that to happen, you're only as good as your last transaction, right? So that's why we have the communication guarantee. Now let's shift our focus just a little bit and let's talk about condition. What I have found to be true, and again, I've been doing this for 12 years. We've done 1,000 transactions here in Charleston. What I found to be true is that sellers start to get a little lazy after about the 10th showing or so. And truthfully, they kind of start to question things. They're a little tired. They're getting a little frustrated. Simple touch-ups, by the way, can make a big difference. Your home could be 90% perfect, but if that buyer sees all those things that they have to do, like paint and carpet and repairs that, in their opinion is going to reduce their opinion of value for your home because of that perceived necessary expense to do that work, then of course you're going to sell your home for less money. The other thing here is that you need to, in my opinion, differentiate between an upgrade and an expectation. And this is sometimes hard for sellers to hear, but when you walk into a house that's for sale, do you really think that painted walls, freshly painted walls with no scuffs or damage is an upgrade? Or is that really more of an expectation? Is clean carpeting an upgrade or is an expectation? I could give you several of these examples. But when you're selling something this valuable, this important, I think you need to go the extra step if you have the ability to. Now, again, if you don't, similar to what I was talking about earlier with our pre-listing inspection, if you hire my team to sell your home for you, we'll pay for a free pre-listing inspection. It'll tell you everything you need to do, everything that you can't necessarily see or didn't know about. I've got a home under contract right now that is fully renovated, and we had the home inspection, and there's a bunch of stuff going on the sellers had no idea about. Had they gotten a pre-listing inspection, which I advised, but they said they didn't need, we probably wouldn't be having these issues right now. But here we are. So as it relates to condition, I will tell you this. On my website, if you go to listingsincharleston.com, that's listingsincharleston.com, and you go to the contact tab, you can do one of two things, actually. Go to the contact tab and type in list of things to do to sell my house or something like that, list of repairs. I will send you a document that I wrote. It's an ebook called 90 Things to Do to Sell Your Home, to sell it, or 90 Things to Do to Prepare Your Home to Sell for Top Dollar. Or you can just go to my blog and you can find it in there. It's a free download, a lot of information in there. I wrote it personally, and it covers everything from your mailbox to your roof and everything in between. So there's some really good information there. Now let's just shift really quickly and let's talk about price and fair market value. Because I'm going to save the marketing portion of this for another show, because I have a lot of things planned with that. There's a lot of really awesome new stuff we're doing on my team to promote our listings for sale on top of what we've already been doing. And, our marketing plan is extensive and costly. I'm not going to say the number or the amount that I spend per month, but it's a small fortune on a yearly basis to market our properties for sale. But you know what? I don't mind because it works. But let's talk about pricing and fair market value. Where did you start your price when you listed your home for sale? And who set that price, by the way? Was it you or was it your agent? And if the home wasn't selling, did you make any sort of price adjustments? Did you have any offers? Did you even have a conversation about the price? Or were you just under the assumption that, hey, as long as people continue to come and see it, we stand a good shot of selling it? Did your agent keep you up to date with things like new listings and contracts and sales in your neighborhood or area, just to keep a constant watch on the ever-changing nature of price as it relates to your home? I mean, if not, that's a problem. Markets change. The strong agents that are really motivated to sell your home will keep a watch on your specific market, and they should be notifying you when they see a shift either upward or downward. I have a seller that I'm working with right now that I think, in his opinion, believes he's in a very, very strong seller's market, and the data suggests otherwise. And really what's going to happen is 6 months from now, agents are going to catch on to the fact that market is softening, but it's already softening. It's just that agents haven't looked at the data enough, and they don't understand it enough, or they're not entrenched enough in that market to feel it. When you're selling 200 homes a year like my team is, you know what's going on in your markets. You know the changes, and you can compare it to what was happening last year and the year before and the year before and the year before. That's how you start to develop an idea of trends, which then is supported by data. And we do in our MLS, in the Charleston Trident Association of Realtors, they provide us with fantastic data to help us make sure we're providing our clients with accurate data and keeping a good pulse on the market. But I will tell you that the data is a supplement to the experience. So when you're pricing a home, you really need to ask yourself the question, what do you think your house is worth right now? As an agent, we should be telling you the truth about your price. And there's so many agents out there that are willing to take an overpriced listing because, if it doesn't sell, then hey, at least it's a marketing opportunity for them. Maybe they can find other sellers that will agree to list with them because they're already representing a home in the neighborhood and might be bringing buyers by. Or if the home doesn't sell, maybe a buyer that was interested won't buy that house, but they'll buy something else. So at least they still get a sale out of it. Or maybe they're just afraid to tell you the truth, or maybe they just don't want the confrontation, or maybe they just don't have the experience. And I'm not trying to put agents down, but this is the truth. We have almost 7,000 agents in our market right now, and we have a little over 5,000 listings for sale. We have almost 2,000 more agents than there are homes to sell in our market. And the vast majority of them, 90% of them, are doing less than a deal a month. That's the reality of our industry right now, is that because the market is good, everybody's jumping in. And when the market becomes tough, which it will at some point, it's not going to happen anytime soon, but when it does, they're going to jump right back out. It's going to be a short-term career move for them. I'm here to stay. I've been doing this for 12 years. I'm not going anywhere. And that's why, in my opinion, I understand price and I effectively price my homes for sale, which is why my homes sell for 98% of their asking price in 24 days, with 30% of my listings selling in a week or less. I'm not boasting. I'm just saying there's a difference when you hire an agent that's experienced from the agent that you might know from work or from church or from your softball league or whatever it is. You need to be interviewing your agent. Not every agent is going to offer you the same things. Certainly not in terms of marketing, certainly not in terms of customer service, and especially not when it comes to their ability to interpret, analyze, and advise on pricing. Because pricing is a little more challenging than it looks. It is not as simple as taking, the average price per square foot in your neighborhood and applying it to your home and saying this is about what your home is worth. That's a ridiculous concept for pricing a property. It's like taking a bunch of cars on a lot and averaging out the price and saying this is about what your car's worth. How does that work? It's silly. But that's what agents do all the time, and it's what sellers are being given as information. And because the agent is the quote-unquote expert, they believe them. And then their home sits, and then it doesn't sell, which is why we're having this conversation this morning about properties that haven't sold. So you just need to sit down. You really need to look at the comps. Look at the upgrades within each home. Look at the pictures. Look at the way they're presented online. All of that matters. You make individual adjustments to the comps for upgrades or lack thereof. And, last thing I'll say before we take another break is that some sellers, they're just stubborn on price. And frankly, that's why they don't sell. Their agent has a conversation with about price one time, the seller shoots them down, and then the agent kind of ends the conversation with their tail between their legs, and they don't bring it up again. But if you hire me, I'm going to tell you the truth when it comes to what is needed to sell your home, because you've hired me to be a professional that you can trust with the sale of your home, which is probably, again, your single biggest asset. So we need to have open and honest conversations about things like price, which is probably the most challenging conversation agents have with their sellers, but is also one of, if not the most important. So if your home hasn't sold, if you've tried selling it, it didn't work, and you're considering hiring a new agent, we'd love the opportunity to talk with you. Feel free to call me on my cell phone. That number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Stick around. We'll be right back with a little bit more information right here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show.
Find Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
1250 WTMA.
Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back to the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. With only a few minutes left, I want to just finish my thought here on if your home hasn't sold, it's been on the market, and you just haven't gotten the results you're after. It's been on the market for way longer than you thought it was, or maybe you tried selling it last year or at some point in the past, and it just didn't work out for you. Now you're trying to figure out what to do. Do I put it back on the market? Do I hire a new agent? What are my options? The thing that I want to kind of close with here is that as a real estate agent, the difference between a really effective agent and an agent that's simply going to list your home for sale, put a sign in the yard, put it in the MLS, maybe do an open house, and then wait for other agents to show it. The difference is in how your agent highlights the features of your home and in how they sell them as benefits to prospective buyers. We can't necessarily create value, but we can create awareness around the things that are of value to buyers to convince them of a reason or reasons why they should buy your home now. So if that's something I can help you with, again, I'd like to reiterate that if you list your home with me, we will not only pay for a free pre-listing inspection, we'll also pay for a free 2-hour staging consultation, among all the other incentives and guarantees we offer, which can be found by logging into my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com, or calling me personally at 843-345-1273. That's 345-1273. And unfortunately, I'm out of time. I was a little long-winded in this section, but hope it was helpful. And again, if you have questions, you're thinking about selling, or if it's just not working out for you and you'd like a little advice, feel free to give me a call. Thanks so much for listening, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care, and thanks for stopping by to WTMA and the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.